Computer. So, welcome, ladies, to the July episode of the Dream Builders Circle. And what we're talking about today is belief. Can we do the things that we want to be doing? Can we look at our beliefs and change them into what we really want to be experiencing? And so, welcome. Thank you for being here, whether you're here on live or if you're viewing the recording. I appreciate you being here and just taking in this information that will help put us on the path to a different life, to building our dreams and to experiencing more joy and more happiness. And so part of the reason why I created this Dream Builders Circle is because just in talking with women, it just seemed like we needed more. We needed more information and we needed more time to spend with ourselves to really think about what we want. And so in May, we talked about just getting back to me, like, who am I? What am I wanting in this world? What am I here to do? And often we have a dream inside of us that we just don't know what to do with. Often we don't know even where to start in creating something in our life that is going to be meaningful and mean something to me and mean something to the people in my world. And then last month we talked about worth. And I feel like worth and belief go hand in hand. Like, am I worthy enough to think about what I want? Often, many of us think, I could never do that. I don't have that worth inside of me. I have to work harder to show my worth and create some worth so that other people think that I'm worthy enough to go and do the things that I want to be doing. And so I believe this goes along perfect in our next step in to believe, right? And I think there's two components to this, which is belief. What do I believe about myself? About what do I believe about, or what is my belief in what I'm able to do? What is my belief in my capacity in this world? And on the other side of that, it's, what do I believe? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about my worth? What do I believe about my dream? Sometimes in my business, I think, do I really believe that I can do this? And I have to sit in that for a minute. Like, is my belief really there? Or is there some belief that limits me and might be holding me back? So it's such a good conversation. And I hope we can have some conversation here today with you ladies, or even in the comments if you're here on the replay and want to comment on things. But I think there's something really valuable and really important in understanding our belief and how it shapes our lives, how it shapes the dream that we hold inside of ourselves. If we don't have strong belief in ourselves and believe what we can do, it really changes our thoughts, right? It changes our thoughts about what is possible. It changes that outcome. Can we really get into our creative mind and create something amazing that is really in line with what we want and the vision that we want for our future? So it's more than a goal, right? It's more than, my plan for the day, but what do I really want in my life? And do I believe that I can have that? And do I really believe that that's possible? Do I believe that I can be happy? Can I live out the life of my dreams? Do I really believe that that can happen? Do I believe that I can go and do the things that I want to do, right? And often this is shaped, not today, but many, many years ago in our childhood, in our upbringing, in the beliefs that our parents had that they graciously pass along to us, that often we carry with us. So we are conditioned to think about certain things. We are conditioned to believe certain things. We have that belief inside of ourselves that often is limiting ourselves. And it's just those stories, right? It's just those stories that we tell ourselves over and over and over again that we've absorbed through our life and are in our subconscious mind. And we all know about our subconscious mind, how it keeps us stuck, how it keeps us in the past. And sometimes we're not able to go forward in doing some of the things that we want to be doing. And again, it's like the worth that we talked about last month. And do I believe that I'm worthy to receive that? Well, yes. Yes, you are worthy. And all we have to do is remind ourselves more often of the worth that we hold inside of ourselves, and don't let those stories lead us astray. So having that strong belief in believing in ourselves and our confidence in what we want to be doing can really help to shape our life and really allow us to experience so much of what is out there and so much greatness that we are all destined to experience. And again, a lot of those beliefs that we hold inside of ourselves, they are not true. It's that story that we are hearing over and over and over again. And a belief is just a thought that we keep thinking about, right? It's that experience from our childhood. It's what our teacher said in middle school that we keep remembering. It's that experience. It's that perceived failure that we hear that we keep going over and over and over again. But the story that we're often telling ourselves isn't true. And one of the best things to do that to keep us on the path that we are meant to go on is just be in awareness. Okay, there's that thought again. I keep thinking that thought. Where is that thought coming from? Well, that's something that happened when I was 3 years old. That thought isn't serving me anymore. Why do I keep going over it, right? And I think often when we get into awareness in what is really holding us back, and that story that we're telling ourselves is just going deeper into it and really recognizing that and then changing it, right? That thought isn't serving me. How can I better um, deal with that in a way that's going to help me move forward rather than holding me back? And so a lot of women carry these beliefs, right? And we hold them deeply in our soul. The belief that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy to receive, I have to work harder. I'm so busy taking care of everything else in my life and all of the other people. That is my purpose, right? That I don't have time for ourselves. So that belief, those beliefs that we hold, affect our worth, affect our future, and really affect the lives of the people around us. So when we think about a limiting belief, as opposed to an empowering belief, right? Those limiting beliefs are going to make us feel small. They're going to make us feel scared. They're going to bring up that fear story in our mind and often in our body, right? We get those feelings in our body, in our nervous system that make us feel scared. So then we're going to believe that story, and that holds us back. And really, those beliefs are not serving us again, right? It's not serving you. It's not serving the future. It's not serving the dream that we hold inside of ourselves. And so some of those beliefs that we know we can recognize in awareness. And I just recently have made a new plan to record some empowering beliefs. So I actually asked ChatGPT and I kind of gave her a little bit of an explanation on what I was looking for and just these empowering beliefs. And she gave me a whole list of probably 30 or 40, and I read them every day. I put it as part of my DMO. So every day I'm reading these empowering beliefs. So I am a powerful, intuitive woman who leads with heart, soul, and certainty. I trust in my path. I trust in my pace. I trust in my purpose that God has given me. I am grounded, clear, and radiant, right? I hold space for others to heal, and I'm deeply connected to my inner knowing. So when we think about some of the beliefs that we would want to adapt, what might those be for you? And if you're having trouble with that, I'd encourage you to ask ChatGPT, and then we always change it up to so it's in our language and something that we can really adopt. But the more that we can do that, the more that we can say yes to ourselves, the more that we can go and do the things that we want to do and have that confidence and have that courage to step forward and do the things that we want to be doing. So I think belief is such a great part of that. And then we just change them, right? The more that we get into awareness, we hear that belief. Well, I could never do that. Well, yes, I can. I'm strong, I'm courageous, I'm brave. I'm here for a purpose. I'm here to hold the space for other women to transform their lives. And the more that we say that, the more that we believe that. So recognizing those thoughts in your mind, those beliefs that hold us back, that story that we tell ourselves, when we recognize that, it's like, okay, I'm going to go and journal about this. I'm going to go write down some of those empowering beliefs. I'm going to walk around the room in my house and talk about this all day long if I have to. One of my mentors, this is what she does every day, empowering beliefs. And then she gets up and she walks around her house and she taps. And she taps on her head and she taps on her body when where we do that EFT. And it's part of her ritual. It's part of changing the mindset, changing those beliefs that we have inside of ourselves. So at any time, if you have some comments or anything, if you just want, you could put your hand up, or if you could just unmute and say whatever you want to say. I'd love this to be interactive as much as it can be.
How do we do that? First
Judy,
of all,
sorry, can I just say there's a lady in the waiting room waiting to get in, Amanda?
Oh, how come I didn't? Oh, shucks. Okay, we'll catch her up. She was behind the people.
oh, bummer. Okay, so how do you create that? Funny thing is, I went to grab a notebook, and the last thing in this notebook was your Dream Builders class with Tanya Ward.
Hi,
Yes.
Amanda. Sorry, I didn't see you in the waiting room there. I was just saying, I'd like this to be interactive. So if you have any questions or comments, just you can unmute and say whatever you want to say. So Bonnie, we're just creating new empowering beliefs. So we can think about that, right? If we know that belief that's holding us back, we can go to the other side of that. I love to use Chat GPT AI. If you're not familiar with that, it's probably not the best thing to start with, but we can work on that maybe at the end, or we can have a call after. But just think about those empowering messages that you want to tell your subconscious mind, right? I am safe to be myself. Just like we talked about in the worth presentation last month, like I am worthy, I am value, I am amazing, I am beautiful, I can go and do the things that I want to do. I'm courageous, I'm strong. So just start with something, and often it'll change and it'll evolve into something else. And we just want to question them, right? Is that serving me? There's that thought again, and I have that feeling in my body that I don't want to be feeling. Let's go to the other side of that and choose something that supports me in my mind, my body, and the things that I want to be doing. So about 8 years ago now, I did my coaching training with Jack Canfield, and he has the book, The Success Principles, and it's very highly highlighted and tagged, and I think I know every chapter off by heart. But he has a chapter number 4 that's titled "Believe It's Possible," and his very opening paragraph is from Napoleon Hill, who wrote the famous book Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And as we know, right, everything starts in our mind. What we think about, we bring about. That's my favorite saying. What we focus on expands. And basically, the mind is such a powerful instrument. It can deliver to you literally everything you want. But first, you have to believe it's possible. And belief is a choice. Belief is a choice. It is simply a thought you choose to think over and over and over again. And when you believe that what you want is possible, your brain will actually take over the job of accomplishing that possibility for you. Better than that, your brain will actually expect to achieve the outcome. And I just love that because it's so true. What we think about, we bring about. So if we're thinking more about all the things that are going to go wrong and all the perceived failures that I've had in the past, then our mind is going to go find more experiences exactly like what we're thinking about. But if we can be thinking about some of the things that we want, some of the characteristics, qualities that I hold inside of myself that are meant for the things that I want to be doing, when I'm thinking about the possibility of changing the lives of other women that are in a place that I used to be in, that gets me really excited, right? I'm going to believe that that's possible, and I'm going to keep stepping into this belief and the belief that it's possible more often. So in that, I believe that there is a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And so that fixed mindset believes that everything is the way it is. Everything is set in stone. Our mind, our abilities, our capacities, maybe even my education, my intelligence, and all of the potential in me is the way it is, right? Either I have it now, or I don't. Like things aren't possible. That's that fixed mindset. So things that I'm going to say to myself if I have a fixed mindset is, I'm not really good at that. That's never going to work out. I could never do that. I'll never be able to do that. I've always been this way. There's no change in me now, right? I'm going to be 60 years old. I can't do anything differently. And I'm going to fail. If I fail, when I fail, that means that I'm not good enough. Like I'm not worthy enough for that. And what are other people going to say if I mess this up, right? That's being very fixed. It's very rooted in fear. It's based in fear. There's a lot of guilt lied combined in that there's a lot of shame, and there's a lot of safeness. I'm going to keep myself safe so that I don't have that discomfort in acknowledging the fear or facing the fear of rejection or having people judge me or whatever that story is that goes on in my mind, right? Things aren't possible. I'm going to stay right where I am and nothing different is going to be happening. But on the other side of that, we can think about change. We can think about learning. We can think about putting some effort into things. We can think about our potential. We can think about support. And often the mistakes that we make and the perceived failures are part of the journey to get where we want to be going. So when we have a growth mindset, I might say, I don't know how to do that, but I'm open to learning. I can learn this over time. I can take the steps and see what opens up to me. And those mistakes that I am making, or what I think is a mistake, is actually teaching me something, right? And sometimes when we start out on that path thinking, oh, this is so hard, but I'm getting stronger, right? That's a growth mindset. This is hard, but I'm getting stronger. This is hard, but I'm learning. This is hard, but I'm being qualified to the things that I want to be doing. And I'm going to try this even if I'm not perfect, right? I'm going to try that. So this is a softer way. It's encouraging. It's got lots of hope rooted in it. And often we just have to be curious about the possibilities. And it's about giving ourselves that compassion to do some new things that we really want to be doing, rather than holding ourselves back in that fear. And so I always say that there's a bridge, right, between where we are and where we want to go. It starts with clarity, but even before that, it's belief, right? So whatever that is for you, whether it's organizing that church picnic, maybe it's writing a book or starting a business or growing our business or just showing up differently in life and experiencing more joy and more happiness. We deserve that, right? So whatever that is for you, we have to believe that that's happening and believe that it's going to happen. And if we don't believe that, that's why I question my beliefs so often. If we don't truly believe that it's possible, then we're always self-sabotaging ourselves, right? We're always playing safe. We're kind of shrinking back into that comfort zone. And that's our subconscious mind. That's the power of the subconscious mind. So it's always going to find that evidence today that's going to reinforce those stories from the past. There's just something that I learned also from one of my people that I follow, Shamina Taylor, and she talks about this law of expectation. And so there's so many things in life where we just expect things to happen. And these are just examples. So when we put in our order at a restaurant, right, we give the waitress the whole order. We're detailed. We want the Coke, we want the hamburger with tomatoes and lettuce and pickles, and right, it's itemized. I want those sweet potato fries with the dill dip, please, right? We itemize what we're wanting. We don't say, bring me whatever you want, bring me something to eat, bring me that hamburger, right? When we are doing our Amazon order, we put in our order and then we pay for it and then we just let it go. And we don't even think about, oh my gosh, when is it going to come? Are we constantly looking at the delivery date? Is it coming? Is it? We're never doubting that, right? Because it's kind of set in stone. And those are just examples of how we can just let go of that control. We can still take the steps forward that might bring that to us in a way that's easier or that we're aligned with, but we're still in that law of expectation. So when we expect something, we believe that it's possible. We keep walking over that bridge, right? We get clear on what we want, and then we still keep taking those steps forward, even though it's not here yet. So bottom line in that is that we just have to believe it, right? And that belief becomes, the belief comes before the clarity. So we believe that it's possible, then we start making those steps. And I think when we have a really strong belief, we become more committed, and whatever that is in our vision, that is our dream, we are able to stay committed to that because we have that strong belief. So when we get this idea, it might be in a form of a download, we get a message that this is what we're going to be doing. If we don't stay committed to that, often that message, that time period, that intuitive action space is going to be gone and it's not going to come up for a while. So often when we get those ideas, it's so great to just get started, right? We have enthusiasm, we have a little bit of momentum because we're excited. This is something we really want to be doing, and I'm going to start stepping into this and just see what opens up. If we miss that time period, often it doesn't come back for some time, and it'll come back in a different way. So that belief in that is going to help you stay committed to whatever you are meant to do. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to talk about judgment. Does anyone have questions or comments?
I
No?
don't, but I just want to see if you can hear me. No?
I can hear you. Does everyone
Okay.
else? Oh, I'm just going to turn up my volume. Okay, try again, Amanda.
I just want to make sure I can be heard because my microphone stops working a lot.
Okay, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay, now I'm seeing the chat. Sorry, ladies. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so we're talking about the fear of judgment and can we believe? So I've named this fear, the fear of judgment, as Judgment Judy. So whenever you hear some judgment going on in your mind, think about me, Judgment Judy, and just sometimes, you know, they just start that story that goes on in our head. So I like to do this just to go over some of the things that we might hear, how we might be feeling, how Judy actually looks, and what she might be going through. And sometimes it helps us to recognize things in ourselves that we haven't recognized before. So when we look at this lady, and we think about her and maybe what she's going through, what comes to mind first? I think that she looks very worried. Is that what you would say? She looks worried. She might look scared. And so if we're thinking about the fear of judgment and other people judging us, what does that bring up inside of ourselves?
It looks like she's saying, what have I done?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like devastation is what I
Yeah.
see.
She's concerned.
What have I done wrong? She does look concerned. She's concerned about what other people are saying, right? She's concerned about maybe how she can please. She's going to be a people pleaser.
Or she looks like she's just heard some bad news. And she
Mm-hmm.
looks like she's almost, I don't want to hear it. She's got her
Mm-hmm.
hands over her
Mm-hmm.
ears.
And maybe that's the story that she's telling herself, right? I think that's one thing about judgment is that often we are thinking about things that we think other people might be thinking, but often they're not. So often, let's say we want to silence the noise in our mind. Yeah, and I think that's that inner voice, that really critical inner voice, that self-critical inner voice. And I think when we have this fear also, we want to hide, right? We don't want to be in photos. I don't want anyone to see me. I haven't lost that weight yet. My hair is awful. I don't feel good. So I think, yeah, we are playing safe, small, and just not wanting to be visible. Yeah, and I think too, just going back to hearing things, she might be feeling things, right? Just feeling that tension in her body, like, oh gosh, they're mad at me, or why does that person look so unhappy? I must have done something. So I think sometimes we hold those feelings in our body that we don't even sometimes recognize, right? So I think maybe she might be holding feelings in her nervous system.
Would that be like internalizing?
Yep, exactly.
But also from our previous experience, we then say this is the same for all future experiences.
Yep.
So at that point, I felt humiliated or whatever. This situation looks the same. I'm not going in there because I don't want to be humiliated again.
Yep. So that's going to be that story or just recognizing those stories, right?
Like a red light story.
Yeah.
And not every story is the same. Just because that happened like that does not mean this one will happen like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But we listen to that story and don't know any different, right? So I like that, Amanda. Red light story keeps us stuck in the past. How's that?
Mm-hmm. Or
So like if you'd had a bad marriage, oh sorry.
Nope, you're
I was
good.
going to say if she'd had a bad marriage or something and then had a divorce, and then you'd say, I never want to get married again because everybody is going to
Yep.
be like this in a marriage,
Yeah.
you know, it's not.
Yeah.
Or I had a bad experience with teachers, so all teachers are now bad, and
Yeah.
you put everyone together because of your own experiences. You generalize about everything because of your own bad experiences.
Yeah. Very
Or
fixed mind.
sometimes or the other way round. I trust policemen because I've been told that policemen are
Ooh,
trustworthy, and then somebody does something that's against your expectations as well.
yeah, so true. Yeah, kind of that fixed mindset on both sides, right? It is what it
Yeah.
is, and nothing's going to change it. Yeah, it's such an interesting way of how our mind just takes our power away, right? So I think just by looking at this and recognizing it, we can help ourselves, but we can also try and help other people.
And I would
Um,
also say cultural issues as well.
Yeah.
So if your whole culture is doing something in a certain way, or there's an expected way of behaving, you feel I will be cast out of the tribe. So in the
Yeah.
olden days, you'd be cast
Yeah.
out if I don't behave or believe
Yeah.
in a certain way. You
Yeah.
might not want to do that, but that's the way your culture is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true, and that's such a good one. And I think too, kind of along those lines is just comparing ourselves to other people, right? That takes away our power, but also we feel that judgment inside. Cause look at her, look what she's doing. Look what I'm the same. We've had the same experience, but we're all doing different things. And I want to call that comparitis. That's a word. um, And I think too, this goes along with our worth. And, maybe I'm not open to receive anything because I judge myself, I'm not worthy, and I need to almost suffer. I need to work harder. I need to earn whatever it is that I'm looking for and I want, and I have to earn that worth. So it's like I have to suffer first before I can receive. So I wonder if sometimes we think that we're on this journey alone. I can't ask for support. I can't ask anyone to help me, right? Because I need to do this myself. That way no one will judge me. Hmm.
And
Not open to receive.
yeah.
I'm just thinking when I was growing up, you knew your place and you didn't get too big for your boots and you worked hard.
Yeah.
And that's your route in life.
Yeah.
Nobody was an entrepreneur apart from builders.
Yeah.
Nobody did anything different. That was your route in life.
Yeah.
And that was the route you followed. And if you tried to do something different, it'd be who do you think you are?
Yeah.
She's getting a bit too big for her boots. Let's bring her down a bit.
Yeah.
So you didn't do it because you knew that it wasn't going to be culturally accepted in where you were brought up. So you stayed because you want to stay part of your tribe. So you stayed and did what everyone else did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And thankfully we can change that story, right? We can teach our kids to do things differently. My dad came from farmers. My grandma was from Germany, right? So there was a lot of scarcity, a lot of no food during the winter. And you bring that forward into your family and it's like, you need to work harder, you need to make more money, you need to save your money for whatever. And here we are. So yeah, it's such a good place to recognize and just know that, that was their story, that served them at their time, but that doesn't need to be my story. And I'm sure gonna teach my kids something different, right? Like all things are possible. All things are possible.
See, I think I taught my children differently and they have gone off into the world. They've been successes. I've said, don't get stuck in one place. I did. There's a whole world out there and they've absolutely done that. But I told them it feels like it was a story. I still can't do it myself. So
Yeah.
why I'm still ingrained in those old beliefs, even though I'm not really, because I taught my children differently. I'm not. And you can say the words, I can do the affirmations and the tapping, but the absolute core of me, it's those beliefs are still there. Really, if I dig down, they're still there.
Yeah. And it's good to recognize that, right? And so is that a belief in changing where you are or traveling like they are or starting something new? Like, is there something specific that relates to, do you think?
For me, it's that being too big for your boots. And if you go out there and you say you wanted to run a group, it'd be who do you think you are to run those groups?
Yeah.
You don't know enough about that subject. And I then go, but that's not true. And you
Yeah.
do, and you know more than other people. And I go, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Oh, I don't do it at the end because it's still, I can say it, I can believe it, I can do all the things, But when it comes down to it, there's still that little elastic band, that little voice there.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to silence that little voice because I know all the things, I've done all the things, but I'm
Yep.
still, I think it's just, it's moving forward slowly. So instead of shocking my whole system and going from one thing to running 5 groups in a week, I can just do every little thing. And I think, oh, that was okay. I did that. That was okay. Oh, I put a post on Facebook, but that was okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I started one night and that was okay. Maybe I can run it for a few nights. And you have to desensitize yourself, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you've got it, Nicola. I think you've got it. And when you were speaking, I could feel your fear, right? And when I felt that, it was like, okay, let's go, right? Let's just take that little voice, that little fear. Let's just do this. We'll do this together, right? Because sometimes fear shows up as a little bit of excitement, like, oh my gosh, what if this could actually happen? What if I could actually do this? What if I connect with these women? What if these women are going to give me these amazing testimonials? And what if I actually helped one person, right? So I could feel that excitement, but I could also feel the fear in it. And yeah, I've been there because it's scary to be visible, right? Because we have that fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of change, fear of not being perfect, all of those fears.
I resonate with everything you said, Nicola. I'm sitting there listening to you going like, dude, I didn't know we were sisters. I didn't realize. Exactly. Like, wow. And Judy, I want to get to what you just said from where Nicola is right there. Get to the point where I actually believe the affirmations I'm telling myself
Yeah.
that I actually do go and achieve, because
Yeah.
I'm sort of stuck in something. I don't know where, but I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, well, I know for me, it's been a journey since I met Jack Canfield, really, right? And then it's a whole bunch of healing, like hoofty things that you didn't even really know that were there, and different modalities that I've tried, and yeah, it's just such a journey. It's so good, so good. So I think this is good for Judgment Judy. So hopefully this has helped just in recognizing things. Sometimes too, I like to have these conversations because sometimes just verbalizing things, it's just like, oh, I didn't know I felt that way, or exactly what Bonnie just said. When someone else says it out loud, it's just like, whoa, like that is me. So I think there's lots of opportunity for growth and change and just ideas that are going to get us started. And it is such a journey, and we want it to happen faster, but it's just like we have to go through this before we can get to this. And we still have that big dream at the end and that vision that we really want to be doing, but we have to go through this process first. And I think too, as we grow and as we change, um, it gets higher, right? The transformation gets bigger and the changes get bigger and things get scarier, but there's always going to be that fear there. That's why we just bring it along with us, and I'm going to show up anyways. I've had this virus the last couple of weeks, sore throat and just weird. And then I had a weird thing on my face, like my skin was really angry. And I'm finally feeling better. But I also started this new 90-day plan in my business. So I've been trying to show up more in different areas. And it was just like, I guess I'm going to choose to not show up and not to do a live video today, or I'm just going to choose to show up. And even though it was so uncomfortable, and I just felt like, yeah, I just felt like I was sick, right? And I even looked like I was sick, and I was just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, you just do it anyways. And I felt so uncomfortable, and like I could just feel it in my body and my heart. And I was just like, ugh, right? But it was good. And now that I'm feeling better, it's just like, I'm so glad that I didn't stop. I'm so glad that I just showed up like I said I was going to show up, and reaching out to people. So sometimes it's not, and it's not an easy journey, right? We got to get way out of our comfort zone. And, but that's where that belief comes in, and that even that vision for the future, like what am I doing and why am I doing that, right? We got to be deeply rooted into that and know our belief. And then we start to get clear and we start to walk into what we want to be doing. So we have about 15 minutes left, and I have some journal prompts that I'd like to share and just have a little bit of meditation time. So maybe for the next 8 to 10 minutes, we will just have some thinking time and we can start writing. I think writing and journaling and meditation, whether it's music or whatever, just having quiet is such an important time just to get us in tune with our thoughts. And sometimes when we write things down, things come up that can help us review our feelings, to kind of know what our patterns are, to sometimes we just write things that we had no conscious connection with. So I have some journal prompts, and I always ask ladies just to choose one. So I have 5 here. So number 1 is, where in my life am I holding back because I'm afraid of what others might think? Think about showing up on social media. Think about your career, boundaries, how you dress, what you look like. Number 2 is, how has this fear kept me from living the life I truly want? Dreams unpursued, risks not taken, joy not felt. What does my inner critic say when I think about putting myself first or doing something new? And just, yeah, like we say here, shine light on that voice. What would I say to a friend who felt the same fear I do? Right? That inner compassion. And what is one small way I can choose to be visible today, even if it scares me? And so that is the prompts. And I'm just going to play some music. And can you just let me know that you can hear this okay? Because I've had problems last time that it was very garbled. Can you hear that? No, okay. I'm going to stop share and I'm going to share sound. Oh. How come that doesn't come up? Can you hear the music now?
Hearing something.
Can you hear something?
I'm hearing something, but not
Okay.
clearly.
Okay, I'm going to try that again. It's just very subtle piano music. Can you hear that now? No.
It's
Okay.
spotty.
Okay, I'm going to choose something different because this. Only 12% of women-owned firms. You hear that? This is guitar. Do you hear that? Okay, good. Thank you. So hopefully that was enough time to just get started. Um, One other thing I just wanted to talk about was, do you think judgment is um, more personal? Is judgment internal? Like, do we really think other people are judging us, or do we think we're judging ourselves? Where does judgment come from? I think often we don't know what other people are saying. We think that they might be saying this. we assume they're saying this and that affects our demeanor. But really, is it all about our own judgment?
I think
Mm.
judgment comes from your past. Like a
Mhm.
lot of my self-judgment comes from voices from the past, from my mom, from my
Yeah.
grandma. And
And
then you start to judge the way they judge because you're around that. But
yeah,
then somewhere along the line, you you realize that's not the right way, and then you try to learn different ways.
yeah,
And then you learn, as when you're trying to be a Christian, you learn, judge not, which it's not really true. What they're basically saying is, you shouldn't be looking at your neighbor, judging them. That's just the wrong way. But you should be looking at your neighbor and asking, if he's not doing the right thing. In that way, yes, you judge them and you go have a chat with them, right? In love. But like judging everybody like the typical what you get when you go to church, people looking you up and down, they're in their little cliques and circles, and nice. That was super special. My sweater shaver just jumped off and shattered
oh,
into 3 pieces. Super. But like getting like that kind of judgment, that girly judgment, whatever you call it, nasty judgment, um, that's wrong internally,
you-
but you don't know
yeah,
how not to do it because you grew up with it. So
yeah,
there's this battle of, I don't want to do that, but I don't know how to not do that. And
yeah,
then you have to unlearn that.
yeah. Yeah, and I think sometimes it's a choice, right? It's a decision. I'm gonna, right, unconsciously in our subconscious, we choose to believe that. Nicola, I know you have to go in the next couple minutes. Did you have anything to share from the journaling or anything else?
No, just what Bonnie said. Absolutely. It's from your experience when you've done things, and maybe quite rightly you got the judgment then, but you still
Yeah.
hold that with you and think every
Yeah.
situation is the same. And I think what came out was the fear of looking foolish, of like saying something and somebody contradicting you and saying, actually, that's not right. And so you look stupid in front of other people. And I
Yeah.
don't want to look stupid, so I don't say anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that a true story?
It has been, but not every time, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we go to we've got a negative bias, haven't we? So we go to the negative, because the negative ones are the ones that have touched the nerve. So we always go to the well, I don't want to have that nerve touched again. So, and I look stupid then. I don't want to look stupid.
Yeah.
And it is all about that feeling foolish,
Yeah.
being caught out. So you don't say anything, you can never be caught out, can you?
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. So just to end off, I wanted to share 5 daily tips just to build that belief in ourselves. So number 1 is that we always want to catch that critical voice. We want to be in awareness of that story that's in our mind. And then we ask, right, is that story true? Is this belief, is this something that I've actually outgrown, but it's still there, right? And so awareness is always that first key to shifting anything to change, is just being aware of what's there that we're not really happy about. And number 2 is just to speak more kindness to ourselves. I had someone in a podcast I was listening to, she constantly says, yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. It's hard to think about something negative when your mind is filled with yes, right? It's hard to hear no when you're hearing yes. So speak kindness, right? And even in those affirmations, I am safe, I am kind, I am valued, I am worthy, whatever that is for you. And just say it out loud, say it all day long, sing it out loud, right? And your voice is going to activate the belief inside of you. And win. Celebrate those wins is number 3. Celebrate every little small win. Every time you show up in your greatness, in your power, every time you're choosing to grow, every time you're choosing to recognize, to be aware, just name that and celebrate yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back, right? And it just kind of shows, the more small wins you have, it just shows you how strong you are, how capable you are, how doing the things that you want to do are actually possible. And number 4 would be just to create some kind of system around this, whether it's a morning routine, an evening routine, a afternoon tea routine, is just, what do I choose to believe today? What do I believe? And then surround yourself with support. Have groups like this circle that encourage, where we can encourage each other and have a community that remind you of your worth and remind you that all things are possible. And our belief grows stronger when we're seen, when we're supported, when we can be visible to others and voice the things that are going on inside of you. So thank you, ladies, for being here. I appreciate you. I hope that was valuable. I'm going to stop the recording.